President Joe Biden gave his first interview since ending his 2024 campaign. In the exclusive sit-down with CBS News' Robert Acosta, Biden recounts the days leading up to his historic decision, telling Costa he only intended to be a transition president. Here's the president in his own words. Let's watch.
A number of my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate thought that I was going to hurt them in the races. And I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. And the combination was that I thought it was a critical issue for me, still is not a joke, maintaining this democracy. But I thought it was important because although it's a great honor being president, I think I have an obligation to the country to do the most important thing to do, and that is we must defeat Trump.
But in the weeks since bowing out of the race, Biden has kept a very low profile, leading some to wonder, where is Joe Biden? Well, this weekend, he was seen cycling in his go-to vacation spot, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. What has the president really been up to since being pushed out of the campaign trail? On July 21st, Biden, of course, announced his departure.
But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
Days before dropping out, Biden caught COVID at a Las Vegas campaign stop in mid-July. He promptly flew to his Delaware home to quarantine. Days later, he made the bombshell announcement, then continued to self-isolate for a few weeks after that. Biden made big appearances after meeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he visited Washington on July 25th. In the beginning of August, he spoke from the White House on Russia's release of Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich, and other Americans who had been imprisoned there. Now his official schedule appears to be clear, with the exception of a joint appearance he and now Democratic nominee Kamala Harris are supposed to make in Maryland later this week. Biden is expected to deliver a speech on lowering costs for Americans. According to reports, Biden's aides are fleshing out his final months in the Oval Office with the focus on reducing health care, housing costs, and his infrastructure law, plus helping out the Harris campaign. So that sounds like he has a busy schedule, although we've seen very little of him. I think it's interesting that he now says he always intended to be a transition president. He did say that in the beginning, but he was certainly, up until a month and a half ago, running for re-election. He was not intending to make the transition now, but he admits he was forced to make this decision because other senior Democratic leaders explained to him that he was hurting the ticket because he seems too old. I think he is bitter about it, which is understandable. I'd be bitter about it in his position, having had my entire party turn on me, the media turn on me, my donors turn on me. That's how it goes, I guess.
I do remember Biden saying, I'm a transition candidate. I want to usher in some return to normalcy in our politics post-Trump.
So normal.
A lot of us didn't think he would run for a second term. The fact that he did and he dropped out this late is a disappointment. If he was a transition candidate, let the party have a primary. He didn't do that. And I think a lot of people are disappointed in that decision. I think he is someone who ran for the presidency so many times, and it's something he wanted really badly. And once he got that power, he wanted to keep it. And he should not have, for the betterment of the party and the values supposedly he has that he's fighting for that motivate him to do public service at all. I do think it's rich that he's clearing $3.5 billion in munitions to Israel at a time when he says his focus is reducing costs for Americans and when his official schedule is extremely limited and has been over the past week. And so I have a lot of questions about why he's starting his day at 10 and his last official meeting or appointment is 2 p.m. I think that people deserve a little bit more from him in his final months here, if that's really his focus.
You're absolutely right. I don't think he's able to give more. I mean, look at him in these interviews.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the excuse anymore that he has COVID or that he's sick. He is supposedly well, and he does not. And now these are not high-pressure interviews anymore because this is not, he has to make his case for why he should be reelected. he looks and sounds so old and so out of touch, and I have to again ask whether he is truly and actually capable of being president now. People who watch this are going to be having that question. He seems far too old to be in public life. I mean, he can still be in public life, but while occupying the most important job in the world, the most high-demanding, most stressful job, with everything, all hell breaking loose in the Middle East, war in Ukraine, partly able to invade Russia, right, just a few days ago. These are very serious, pivotal national security matters for our allies around the globe, with rivals around the globe. We need someone with all of their mental faculties who can wake up at any hour of the night and confidently field questions, engage with military leaders, engage with the leaders of foreign countries, plan a strategy. And this guy just does not sound like he's up to that task at all. Is that unfair? I don't think it's unfair.
I don't think it's unfair. I have questions about Trump's light schedule as well. This guy is going to be much older than Biden is today, 3 years into his term. Mm-hmm. I'm worried about that. He goes on the campaign trail, and there are people who compile the transcript of the speeches. The way he is portraying the economy and inflation is very interesting to me. I'm calling it Bacon Gate. It's a term coined by Josh Frankel.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, he produces a lot of analysis. And so he assessed the price of bacon on average in the United States.
Okay.
And when Donald Trump has portrayed it inaccurately, he said it has quadrupled to being 6 times the price it was when Biden took office, 5 times, 4 times. He says these things throughout his stump speeches, when the price of bacon has not been anywhere higher on average in the United States than 30% more than it was in January 2021, let alone 400 to 600% higher. People are struggling to pay for groceries, but in Trump's world, if prices were 4 to 6 times higher, we would be experiencing rampant hyperinflation. Like, portraying Biden's economy in this way is kind of dangerous economic misinformation. And the fact that he thinks people will struggle to afford groceries only when things become 4 to 6 times higher, everyone would be starving if that were the case. Things being 30% higher is enough for people to not be able to afford groceries. He doesn't need to say 6 or 4 times higher, but he's very obsessed with the price of a pound of bacon.
I'm looking at the U.S. inflation calculator, and it looks to me like the price of bacon is up, but it is not up 4 times, no.
Yeah, I'm very interested in how many times he mentions the price of a pound of bacon. This is a guy who deregulated the pork industry. So bacon
that's what's
is
gonna bring
important to him.
prices down.
But also another hilarious theory is that this is what he's paying at Mar-a-Lago, and he's getting gypped by the guys he helped deregulate the industry. So I find that very interesting. But Biden doesn't have a packed schedule trying to get prices down, so this is what we have. A guy who absolutely is misrepresenting the current state of the economy, and a guy who isn't doing enough to address the current state of the economy.
You said twice now, though, that you don't think Trump is out there campaigning. He's doing rallies. He's visiting places. I mean, he's in the swing states. He just got shot in one of them, in fact.
Do you think that's why he has a thinned out schedule, though? Because he certainly does, and he's admitted this himself.
He has a robust schedule compared to Joe Biden.
And I don't know if I would agree with that.
Kamala Harris, by the way, is not doing any media interviews. She's said, when asked about if there's going to be a policy platform, she said, "Well, we'll get back to you. We're going to work on that next week."
She talked to the press on the tarmac. She did go up to press on the tarmac.
She hasn't done a sit-down interview.
I don't think she needs to do a sit-down interview when she's packed.
I think she does. I think she absolutely needs to do a sit-down interview. Nobody voted for her.
I'm not saying
Nobody selected her.
ever.
She didn't win anything. We don't know what she stands for or who she is or who she believes or what she's running on. She absolutely needs to do a sit-down interview.
I think it's great.
I see why she would want to avoid doing a
sit-down interview. She's
sit-down
stumping
interview.
around and she's telling people her political positions. Sure, she can sit down with the media and do a longer interview, but right now it seems their focus is rallies.
They're just going to, she might as well, they're not going to ask her any tough questions. They're going to just talk about how great she is. But
okay, let's see Trump's schedule. So I know that he did a lot of rallies last month, the month that he was shot, but his new campaign schedule is lighter. So this is reporting from the Republic, and he said, "I'm leading by a lot. I'm letting their convention go through, but I am campaigning a lot." And when they were asked if he was going to increase his travel to do at least 1 or 2 rallies a week, he said after the convention. Yeah. So he's admittedly not doing as many rallies as Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And a lot of people are asking what's going on. In 2016, Trump had 7 different rallies between August 9th and 13th. Now, J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, has had a busy schedule. He's been in Michigan, he's been in Wisconsin, he's going to North Carolina, and Trump has only visited Montana in the past week. And so that's a big difference from how he was campaigning in 2016 and what his running mate's been up to.
Well, I don't know. He should be more active, but again, Kamala Harris has not done a major media interview, and I have no idea if Joe Biden is capable of running the country or is actually running the country right now, and that is a very scary and sobering thought, I think. More Rising right after this.